he's cutting himself off from the fact that he could influence others. Not every flat earther's 100% in or absolutely sold on it. Some are thoughtless on it. Some are probably not thinking about other perspectives. Some are probably raised in cult-like environments where they don't even...
What's up, Game Weepers? It's the Chiz, and patch 12.2 is fast approaching, so to be as prepared as possible, it is essential to watch this whole video so you know who the 15 most broken champions are going to be, because there are a lot of changes hitting the Rift, and some of these are 100% going to change the meta. But to master any of the champions on this countdown and to play them at a challenger level, make sure to check out the Game Weep website linked in the description and comment section, because we will teach you how to play these like the best players around the world. We're talking mechanics, a bit of macro, so there is no way you don't improve tenfold by signing up to the website, so get that exclusive access, and let's get into the video. Now, coming in at number 15, we have possibly one of the most annoying champions on the Rift, and this is Singed coming in at number 15. Now, the reason Singed is shot to glory is because of the Rylai's Crystal Scepter buff that's coming in for 12.2, so the fact is costing 400 less gold. This is really nice, so it's now 2600 in total, and even though you're losing a little bit of AP, you're gaining 50 HP, and for a big AP bruiser like Singed, this is way more important than the AP it's going to give you. For sure, you're going to miss out on a bit of damage, but damage isn't the most important stat for when you actually play Singed. Getting the HP gives you a bit more durability, so you can be even more annoying, and the cost going down by 400 gold makes this a really viable second to third item. So this is a massive buff for Singed, and this is why he has to come in on this countdown. But beating him to number 14 is one of the most consistent junglers you can pick, and this is Rammus. And even though Rammus is a really good low elo stomper, even in high reloads in Diamond and Master and above, he has a very good win rate, which just goes to show that the Armadillo is worth picking regardless of the actual rank you're in. By running Ghost or not Flash, this gives you the movement speed even if you do get slowed to not get interrupted during your Powerball, so you can catch up to anyone and taunt them. And because the jungle at the moment is very much focused on full clearing and just getting to level 3, for a champion like Rammus, this is ideal. Getting invaded is very unlikely, so you can get to level 3 for free and impact the map better than anyone. But maybe one jungler who might have something to say about Rammus's power at level 3 is Trundle coming in at number 13. And to be honest, if you're playing Trundle in the top lane or in the jungle, he's a straight up beast wherever you take him. If you play him in the top lane with lethal tempo, which is actually getting changed this patch, which we should mention, so for melee champions, the attack speed you're getting per stack is going down from 13% to 10% to 15% scaling. So in the early game, it might be a little bit of a nerf, but you're still getting to 60% attack speed overall at max stacks, which is just absurd. And also remember on Trundle that your Q counts as a lethal tempo stack, so there is really no issue here. In the late game, it's even better, so this gives Trundle a bit more scaling, and even if you decide to play Trundle in the jungle or press the attack, there is no one who can 1v1 you, and your ganks are still very easy to execute because of the W movement speed buff, and also the dildo that you pop out of the ground. But beating Trundle to number 12 on this countdown are two supports that are very similar, and these are Zyra and Brand. And why are these two suddenly on a top 15 champions countdown? Well, just like I mentioned for Singed, is because of that Rylai's Crystal Scepter buff, and this might even make it a viable first item rush for these supports. So if you think about Zyra for a second, with the new Rylai's, the slow that can proc on her plants, it's going to be so annoying to play against for AD carries and the enemy supports, because that one slow proc might land to a root, it might land into your ultimate, and if you're in a group situation, it means that your teammates can just jump on that target who's slowed by the Rylai's and just absolutely unleash. Rylai's also works really well with Brand because of the ultimate. When it bounces to multiple enemy champions, they're going to be slowed and more accessible for your teammates. So this buff, 2600 gold for support, because gold is kind of hard to come by for support, this just accelerates that item spike and makes it really viable. So Zyra and Brand come in at number 12, but beating them to number 11, we're going to stay in the bot lane here and talk about one of the premier AD carries, and this is Jinx. And just like I mentioned for Trundle, lethal tempo is also getting changed for ranged champions, so the attack speed you're getting per stack is now scaling from 5% to 9% depending on your level. So for Jinx, you're still getting a nice amount of attack speed in the early game, but because you're the hyper carry late game beast you are, in the late game when you're getting more attack speed because the lethal tempos change, this just makes you even scarier to play against, and to be honest, just untouchable. And because of the shield bone nerfs and wits end nerfs from last patch, Jinx, because you can go Gale Force or Kraken Slayer, you're not going any of the nerfed AD carry items. Your value as a result in the last couple of patches has just gone up so much. This is why she has to come in at number 11, but beating Jinx to number 10 and starting off the top 10 in this countdown, this is Anivia, who is boasting one of the highest win rates across the Rift. It doesn't matter what elo you play Anivia in, you have a very good chance of winning games, and Anivia's items are really the main reason behind this, because Crown of the Shattered Queen makes you unkillable. If you want to go Everfrost, it's just 2800 gold as well, well. And Archangel Staff, the buff that came in, so it's now costing 2600 gold, and working off ability haste, okay, you might not hit as hard as you used to, but it's still an unreal buff because ability haste is so important for Anivia. Spamming your spells and controlling team fights and how the fights actually play out, this is huge for an immobile champion, so it's a lot harder for enemy champions to actually access you and exploit your weaknesses, so Anivia comes in at number 10. But beating Anivia to number 9, we're heading back down to the bot lane and talking about another AD carry who's very strong at the moment, and this is Jhin. And just like Jinx, because Jhin has dodged all of those shield bow and wits end nerfs, he's become one of the top tier ADCs. By running fleet footwork, it's very hard to actually get onto you, and in any game you're in, really with any support, Jhin is always going to be useful. Even if you're not playing that well and you might be feeding, it's just the utility you bring with your deadly flourish and your ultimate. You bring so much to team fights, so not every game do you have to be 10-0 to actually have an impact. So Jhin, just because he is one of the most consistent and reliably performing AD carries, he comes in at 9, but beating Jhin to number 8 on this countdown, we're heading back into the jungle here and talking about Amumu. And ever since Conqueror got buffed back to 5 seconds, so they're stacking, this keystone has been the best keystone for Amumu, and he's seen his win rate shot through the roof by going Sunfire Aegis as well, which is the best dueling tank mythic because the Emulate passive gives you the clear speed, and also the 1v1 and even team fighting potential. You really need to stay durable and to also deal damage. And a bit like Ramesh, you might think that in higher elos Amumu, because you can get kited around the block, is going to perform a lot worse, but even in higher elos, the Sad Mummy has a really good win rate, and it's also interesting that some people are going the new Fimbulwinter item, which is the tier tank item, because it works off so many of your abilities, both of your Qs and obviously your ultimate. You can proc that shield for days, and because you're getting mana, it means that you can actually just give your mid lane a blue buff and have no worries about it. But perhaps a champion who's a little bit stronger than Amumu for 12.2, this is Ziggs as an AP carry in the bot lane, and for Ziggs at the moment, lots of things are going for him. So just like I mentioned for Anivia, the Archangel Staff buff, so it's costing 2600 gold. For a spell spammer like Ziggs, throwing bombs out left, right, and center, this is what you want. It's cheaper now as well, so it's going to accelerate your scaling, and with Liandra's Anguish, which is giving you ability haste via the mythic passive, this is huge for a spellcaster like Ziggs. Also in the bot lane, lots of the best AD carries and most popular AD carries are immobile and very easy to hit. So if we think of Jhin, if we think of Jinx, who I've already mentioned on this countdown, you can be super annoying to play against in lane, and we even see Ziggs picked in pro play against these champions because he is a very good counter pick. So if you want to annoy the heck out of the enemy bot lane, definitely consider locking in Ziggs for 12.2. But ahead of Ziggs coming in at number 6 on the countdown, this is a champion you can play in the mid and the top lane, and this is Cassiopeia. And why is Cassiopeia all of a sudden rushed up to number 6? Well, that's because the Rylai's Crystal Scepter buff. So the fact it's costing 2600 gold, pair this with Archangel Staff, it's a very cheap build, and when you have Liandra's Anguish as well, the damage you deal, the tick damage, the kite ability, because of the Rylai's slow, no one is going to escape from you, and no one is going to be able to jump onto you, and because Conqueror, the stacking is back to 5 seconds, just like I mentioned for Singed, it's going to be really easy to keep this stack during the laning phase, and Cassiopeia at the moment is for sure one of the strongest laners in the entire game, so make sure you abuse her in 12.2 before she gets nerfed. Now starting off the top 5, we're going to stay in the mid lane here and talk about one of the champions in the mid lane who might be able to abuse the new Lichbane buffs, and this is Twisted Fate. And for Lichbane, because you're getting ability haste and the cooldown in the Spellblade passive is going down to 1.5 seconds, this is huge. For a champion like Twisted Fate who can really make use of Lichbane, whether it's on champions or towers, this is a really nice buff, and the ability haste comes in really clutch, because nowadays you're not really about one-shotting enemy champions. You're about getting as many stuns off as possible and as many cards off as possible so you can deal the most damage to the most number of champions. Now what's also good for Twisted Fate this patch is the fact that your ultimate is one of the few semi-global point-and-click ultimates on the Rift. Because of the teleport change, during the first 14 minutes you can only TP to towers. But for Twisted Fate, when you get your Destiny at level 6, you can ult anywhere on the map. This is a huge advantage and allows you to get behind the enemy bot lane or the enemy top lane and ensure kills for you and your teammates. And for these reasons, we've seen Twisted Fate banned in pretty much every single pro game at the moment, so if he is open in your solo queue games, and he probably will be, make sure you lock him in before the enemy team does. But beating TF to number 4 in the countdown is one of these AD carries who might be able to abuse, or who will definitely abuse, the new lethal tempo change, and this is Vayne coming in at number 4. And despite Immortal Shield Bow and Wits End getting nerfed last patch, it doesn't really matter, because for Vayne with lethal tempo, you have 0 weaknesses now. Okay, the early lane against a champion like Caitlyn or Ashe or Jinx, it might be pretty annoying to navigate out of, but once you do hit your stride and get to level 6 and you start scaling with the new lethal tempo and getting more attack speed later into a game, this is when you really come online. And in solo queue at the moment, despite the Vayne nerf to her ultimate a few patches ago, and those nerfs I talked about to shield burn Wits End, she still boasts one of the best win rates out of all the AD carries, so she has to come in at number 4. But beating her to the bronze medal in this countdown is another lethal tempo tempo abuser, and this is Kayle. Now, whether you want to play Kayle in the mid or top lane, it doesn't really matter because this champion with the new lethal tempo is just beyond busted. The fact that in the late game you can get up to 9% attack speed per stack, this is just insane. This is going to be over 50% extra attack speed, and you never know, Kayle with the new Lich Bane, she might be able to abuse this. But yeah, if you're going Nashor's Tooth, Riftmaker, Death Cap, the new lethal tempo once you get to level 11 and certainly level 16, there is going to be no champion scarier than you in the later stages of a game. Well, maybe Kassadin, you might have a shout there, but beating Kayle to number 2 on this countdown, who would have guessed this? This is Riot's newest champion hitting the Rift in 12.2, and this is Zeri. And Zeri in the bot lane, not many people know how good she's going to be, but let me tell you something. Riot are not going to make her bad because they want to make that bank. They want all of us to buy Zeri when she comes out because she will be so broken. It's like you have to play her for free LP. So whatever Zeri's abilities are, what her passive does, what her Q does, none of this even matters, not even her build, because she will just be innately strong. Some of the clips I've seen where you can jump over terrain, you can get unlimited movement speed, it just looks so busted for an AD carry. It's almost like playing Jinx, but on steroids. So Zeri comes into number 2, but the number 1 champion, guys, for 12.2, beating all of these to the number 1 spot, this is Viktor. Now, whether you want to play Viktor in the mid lane or the top lane, maybe like Cassiopeia or Kayle, the versatility is there for sure, but for Viktor, we're crowning the Shattered Queen, then getting Zhonya's Hourglass and the new Lich Bane, this is going to be massive. And this is the main reason Viktor is number 1. So just like Twisted Fate, if Viktor is open, you have to pick him, there is no excuse. The new ability haste with Lich Bane, really nice. The new Spellblade damage scaling off your AP in the late game, this is going to be big. And the cooldown, more importantly, going down to 1.5 seconds. Who does not think this is going to be broken on a champion who can proc this so easily with his discharge? It is going to deal so much damage and be up so often. So those are the 15 most broken champions, guys, for 12.2. Let me know down below in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of the champions on this countdown. Also remember to like the video if you want to see more of these uploads in the future. And until tomorrow's daily upload, this has been the Jiz.
Oh. I can't take a gradual. Even though that's kind of what you do, though. Oh, you lucky bastard. I'm doing so much fucking damage to these guns. I'm just too far up. That's just getting me killed. I keep going too far up and it's fucking me. Let's try this shit again. Damage need the tower. Yeah, tower's down.
An enemy has been slain. Your turret has been destroyed.
Even if I die in motion.
You have slain an enemy. Killing spree. Your team
That got so annoyed. Don't really think there's much you can do there, Kelly. He's just gonna auto you. That's stupid ultimate is. Holy fuck. Ah, there by the day. There's no way she's getting out of that. Not a chance. Not with fucking thing on her.
Chase what is desired.
Fuck. My part. Being too aggressive there. I'm not fucking snowballer, which means I can't be aggressive. I'm being aggressive. Like a tit.
Bearded lady, Nagake Boros, names don't matter. Action does.
This is a destroyed turret.
Atoy Baru, Daliet, She.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been
This
slain.
ends one of two ways. They run, or I break them.
It sort of worked.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
You are not in motion.
An ally has been slain.
Move! This will be quick.
You go force that there. That's your shit buys coming from me.
Without change, something sleeps inside us and seldom awakens.
Everyone, watch your coin
What the hell? How did that not do more damage? Okay, don't get no more damage to them.
How could I love only one man? They break too easily.
They're gonna push you.
Life is the sweetness of fruit and the joy of
An ally has been slain.
now. This is the first lesson. To live is to fight. My God doesn't many die. Worthy souls.
Banish the shadows.
We are not one soul. We are many. Nagakiburas.
That'll work.
I am done with this.
I had more heals.
Enemy has been slain.
They will learn.
Shut down.
They will die.
Kill.
Nice. 2 for 1. Decent trade.
Sea is ripe for battle.
Gotcha. The mouse.
Enemy double kill.
Sheyutu Nagakiburas. Nagakiburas.
Back off.
Shock. It is the storm that is life.
I don't really know why he tried to push me there though. Yeah, I can't do anything to help that.
Rampage.
Get it there. See if we can yank one through the thing.
Wisdom is
Probably did.
a kick in the head.
help.
Why should we care for such things?
Double kill. An enemy is
Not that dumb.
My sword is not long. It is a kick in the pants. I don't scare, I don't tire, and I don't stop.
Your turret has been destroyed.
Now we begin. The ocean is calling. It is our desire. All that lives, moves. If I hate something, I destroy
Your
it.
turret has been
If I
destroyed.
want something, I take it. You think you can beat me?
Your turret has been destroyed.
Fuck, I can do it now. You're too fucking strong at the minute. He's just absolutely dominating us. Alright, then it's about to go down.
Your inhibitor has been destroyed.
Unless he can be killed immediately, we can't do fuck all. And no one to help by. The fucking idiots.
There are kind and gentle dogs. Mine is a
Shut down.
Let's push up hard. That's our only chance. Push up hard. Oh. We need to get an inhib down badly.
The vortex is on.
Why is no one coming to help me kill this inhib?
Now! I break hearts. I
Eric's gonna push that top tower. Or the teleport is fine. I know.
Men live, men die.
Rampage.
It is not what we have, it is what we can throw away. My name is allowing.
On your, you fucking asshole. He's not getting involved in the fucking fights correctly. Well, he is actually. He's avoiding the fucking fights. Hang on, guys. these guys are being stubborn bastards. There you go.
Life is the
One of these one team fight with these cunts. Nice.
Let's begin again. They need wisdom. They don't need
Perfect. Okay, no, not perfect.
Killing spree.
We never stop.
An enemy has been slain.
My god doesn't want peace.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Let's keep pushing this shit.
Many died. Worthy souls fight for me.
Your team has destroyed an inhibitor.
We are many.
Good job. Perfect. Oh, let's get out of here. When you get back to base though, sorry about that with the tire slaps.
Things should be held only when we need them. This is a great day. Motion is
Ally has been slain.
Don't think she can get there in time, but she can give it a go.
It is the storm that is life.
There comes Alex. Iona in for the fucking follow up, unfortunately. Oh, damn it. That's not good. That worked. Power spec and low is ridiculous. Oh god. I forgot just how mean Lux is. She's like fucking horrendously mean. Oh god. That worked out way better than I thought it would. Alright, one more red and then on the Tarkov.
Ratings, I'm Shadow, and I want to do an in.
What's going on, guys? Vulcan here, and with Lost Ark coming out soon, I figured now would be a great time to put together a massive guide to help anyone who hasn't played or heard of Lost Ark. So Lost Ark is one of the biggest games coming out this year, and because of that, it deserves one of the biggest guides, and this is one of the largest ones I've ever put together. It's packed full of guidance, tips and tricks, and everything you need to know to get started, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. So before we jump in, I did want to clarify a few things. So this video is only for the Western version of the game. There will be some differing information between this video and other videos for the Eastern version. Now also, I have used some footage from the Russian server with the English patch, so you might see some really weird translations and stuff like that, so just know that kind of going into this one. So let's go ahead and get things kicked off with some general information. So one, Lost Ark is an MMO ARPG with an isometric view. And because of this, a lot of people often assume the game is like Diablo or Path of Exile, but that's not really correct. So it doesn't really share any of the same traits as those games. This game really does truly perform like an MMO. So don't expect these massive loot fountains or like hordes of enemies that you have to slice through if you're doing like maps in Path of Exile and stuff like that. Now, Lost Ark will be launching on Steam as a free-to-play title, but you will see some Founders Packs offered with a bunch of cosmetics and consumables ahead of launch. Now, these packs do stack, so you can buy all of the available Founders Packs and get everything offered across all of them. Now, in-game, you do have a cash shop where you can buy different costumes, pets, mounts, and all kinds of different things. Now, they will offer a premium subscription as well called the Crystalline Aura. I'll be talking about that a little more in depth later in the video, but because I know someone will ask, this game is not launching on consoles as far as I know, but that could change in the future. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the nuts and bolts of Lost Ark, starting with classes. Now, the Western version of the game is going to come with 15 total different play styles, and these are broken into base classes and advanced classes.
Come on.
So starting with your base classes, you have the Mage, the Warrior, the Martial Artist, the Gunner, and the Assassin. Now, for the advanced classes, you have the Mage, who can specialize in being a Sorceress or a Bard. The Warrior can become a Berserker, Paladin, or Gun Lancer. The Martial Artist can become a War Dancer, Scrapper, Soul Fist, or Striker. The Gunner can become a Gunslinger, Deadeye, Sharpshooter, or Artillerist. And the Assassin can become a Shadow Hunter or a Deathblade. Now, there are some things to keep in mind here. Some of these are still gender locked. Amazon and Smilegate have mentioned that they plan on creating more options in the future, but for now, just know that some of these only offer one gender to choose from right now. And you also get to test out all of the advanced classes before you have to choose, which is great. So you don't have to feel like you need to make a huge decision right at the character selection screen. Instead, you just need to confirm what base class you want to play as, and then you're immediately thrust into a training arena where you can then choose your advanced class. So let's go ahead and break down all the different classes and who they might best fit, starting with the Warrior. So the Warrior offers a diverse set of advanced classes. Each one fits into a part of the Trinity. So you have like a DPS in the Berserker, a support and a healer in the Paladin, and then a tank in the Gun Lancer. So talking a little bit about each one of them. Now the Berserker is all about causing as much devastation and chaos as possible. You have high damaging skills with all the classics like cleaves, leap smashes. If you love to swing a two-hander and absolutely pulverize enemies, the Berserker is right up your alley. Then we have the Paladin, which is a support and healer role. Imagine like a holy paladin from World of Warcraft. You're going to be summoning a lot of glowing tomes, healing allies, and purging demons with fire. If you're someone who loves to be up close and in the action, but also likes to heal up the party, then this might be a great fit for you. And lastly, we have the Gun Lancer. Now, despite its name, this is actually a tank class that uses a shield and a lance, except that lance has a giant cannon in it. So the Gun Lancer is all about soaking damage and taking one for the team. You do have some cool skills that'll hook and pull enemies, some that will provide protections, and some that are pure damage. If you like to be the tank, the Gun Lancer is your only choice. Next up, let's talk about the Mage, right? So the Mage has only 2 advanced classes, but they're both really fun to play. So the first of the 2 is the Bard. This is your classic harp, lute wielding support class that can either tear up enemies or buff up your party with music. Now, most of these abilities have some form of debuff for enemies or increase a buff for yourself and allies. So if you like the notion of being like kind of a buffing machine while also dishing out a little damage and a sick tune, then go with the Bard. Now, the second of the Mage's advanced classes is the Sorceress. Now, this one was recently changed from the Summoner, which is going to be coming at a later date. So if you did play the beta, this is a completely new class for you, well, for everybody. The Sorceress is your classic Mage, right? You're going to dish out elemental damage, be able to clear battlefields pretty easily. So if you enjoyed the traditional Mage look and play style, this is the one I'd go with. Okay, so we covered the Mage and the Warrior. Let's move on to something a little bit more unique, and that's the Martial Artist. So in other games, these are similar to monks, but in Lost Ark, the Martial Artist kind of brings a new look and feel to the class with 3 advanced classes.
Right,
The first one is the War Dancer.
Yes,
Now, this
fuck all
class
against
is one that
Fenrir.
offers lightning-fast attacks that build up over time and
Fenrir
allow
is
you
a
to
really good
unleash
character against me.
huge damage
There
to
you go.
enemies. And this class harnesses the power of the elements and channels them into their attacks.
Oh yeah, I'm
Basically,
calling.
imagine a mage, but with huge gauntlets that they use to pound enemies into the ground. If this sounds like fun, consider picking up the War Dancer. Next is the Striker. This one is the most pure martial artist class, in my opinion. It's the one that offers the most simple yet effective skill set, featuring straight punches, kicks, leaps, and smashes. There really isn't anything crazy about this one. It's very to the point, effective, and extremely fun to play. So if you prefer like a Shaolin monk style experience, the Striker is your best bet.
Let's go leave a fucking Tryndamere. I hate fighting Trent. He's such a pain in the ass. Oh, this is a bad Trent player. Yep, he is. I don't know, because he's immediately trying to push me under tower. Which is not where he wants to fight me. At least it shouldn't be where he wants to fight me.
My god is not long. It is a kick in the pants.
So, oh, that may be my part. He doesn't get ult though, so there's not much he can do against me yet. Basically needs ult to really fuck me. Not going after you. I noticed you want me to do that, so it ain't gonna work.
An ally has been slain.
Even if I die in motion. This is a great You are not in motion. Learn! Chase what is desired.
An enemy has been slain. An ally
Okay.
has been slain.
Move back.
A summoner has reconnected.
Things should be held only when we need them. I don't scare. I don't die. And I don't stop.
Come on. Terrorist. You stop getting your head in the way. See, this is why you end up with fucking dints.
I am a teacher.
On Trindamere.
We learn.
Have me, asshole.
This is the first lesson.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
An ally has been slain.
This will be quick.
One off me.
We are not one soul. We are many.
he's smacking with. What are you doing, dude? Gotcha. Can't go near him. I think we're fucking him up. That's good, but like really bad for the fucking tower attack. Fuck. There's not much you can do about it. Damn it. Yeah, he's probably got me here. Or don't quite know how that worked because Trinimir's a fucking cunt to deal with, but
Without change, something sleeps inside us and seldom awakens.
fuck, wrong button. That didn't work out. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot.
I break heart. I break spine. Many gods ask for worship. They are gods.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Damn it. Was that on my... Ah, damn it, no. Fucker survived it. Are you fucking kidding me? How? How did he survive that? I fucking hate Trindamere so much. His ult is just so aggravating. Trindamere's ult is like turn your brain off fucking button. That's all it is. It's just a turn your fucking brain off button. It's so stupid. I fucking hope one day they change out his ultimate because it's so dumb, so dumb.
How could I love only one man? They break too easily.
Little bitch. That'll work. Need to get that fucking thing. I'll go for it after. Gotcha. Hey, cat.
Hey, bud.
Oh god, no. I was doing a game of League of Legends and remembering why I hate this fucking champ. Oh, I'm dead.
Who are you playing as?
Oh, I'm a Lowy, but Tryndamere is against me, and, well, Tryndamere is just a dick.
Honestly, mate, your first problem is the fact that you're not playing as Shyvana. Definitely best champ.
I can't use her. The only one I can use is Illaoi, because if I farm safely at the start,
Yeah.
despite the fact she's been out for God knows how long, everyone always underestimates just how fucking hard she hits. Honest to God, man, like it's ridiculous. The amount of times I've like played matches and I've got like decently ahead feed-wise, and had people just like walk up to me as because they think, oh, I'm slow and I've missed my E, and they seem to think, oh, that means I'm defenseless, and then you ult the cunts and just melt everyone. It's ridiculous. And they never learn. They never fucking learn.
I'm meant to be going out to play five-a-side football today, but what I really want to do is kill 3 PMCs with a bolt action rifle under 25 meters.
But yeah, as I said, people always underestimate her, but right there is the example. That's exactly why I hate Tryndamere so much. Because you don't need a brain to play the prick. I just ulted, Aid ulted, right? The only thing that saved Tryndamere and Swain was the fact that Tryndamere ulted, so I didn't get a massive chunk of healing back to me. Only thing that saved them. Oh, God. And of course they got the Baron. Because our jungler's doing nothing.
They will learn or they will die.
I think you play jungle then. Yep. Yeah, okay. Fuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to Discord anyway.
Can I get Swain? Yeah, I got you, dickhead.
There's something wrong with my network.
Oh god, damn it, damn it! Aha! What's going on? Why? It's not working for you? I need more healing. Yeah, we're losing quite badly. To be fair, they've had to pay to kill me each time so far, not so much the rest of my team. Yeah, so hurry up and kill that fucking Veigar. Seriously? You should have no problems against that short ass prick. You might have problems against two of them though. Alright, get out of there if you can. Come on, survive low enough. Survive low enough. Fuck you. Oh, there's nothing more satisfying than killing the fucking Tryndamere. just 'cause he's such a fucking brain dead champ. Gotcha. Thank you. Let's get back and heal up a little. Because Diana's fucking burst damage is pretty fucking high.
There are kind and gentle dogs. Mine isn't one of those. The ocean is hot. It is a desire.
Damn it. Yeah, just back off, back off, back off, back off. Damn it. Yeah, so we do not go in that. We cannot take that.
There is joy in food and fighting.
They're getting dragon. Fuck. Okay, we need Bard. There's no way we're winning this stage. Thrash, do not go after Friendemir. What the fuck are you doing? Fuck.
My god is not love. It is a kicking.
Ah, fuck. Making chances for people, but apparently no one wants to fucking live. Yeah, because my team is shit. Yeah, so do not rush in there. Or do, and I. Or not. Fair enough. Tiger. Should have figured the thing was coming in there. Yeah, fuck it, surrender. I'll call your mother, dude. Twinder. I hate him so much. I hate him so much. Okay, let's go. Good old faithful. Out of water. You're not out of water. It's not that time. You can look sad about it all you want. You're not getting anything. Oh my nose. Oh, it's in the bottom.
Today's video is brought to you by HelloFresh. Honestly, who's got the time to cook a full meal from scratch anymore? After a full day of work, nobody wants to spend hours preparing a meal. Unfortunately, the other options can be tricky too. Eating out, still a bit dicey. Delivery, lots of fees, not super healthy. Well, fortunately, HelloFresh is the perfect solution that checks every box. It's going to help you try something that's fresh and adventurous. It's also affordable, convenient, and environmentally conscious. And you can do it all from the comfort of your own home. Yes, with HelloFresh, you get a specially designed 5-star meal kit that's going to break you out of that recipe rut. They work with local farmers to send you delicious, locally sourced meals that can help you skip the meal prep and put dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. HelloFresh is a perfect service because of its flexibility, but also because of its responsible business model. If you like variety, you're never locked in to any option. Change your preference for a week if you want some spontaneity, or add in some extra meals or proteins, whatever you like. And of course, HelloFresh makes it easy to support them by making virtually everything recyclable, sustainable, and of course, sanitized. Right now, you can go to HelloFresh.com and use the code BrainFood16 to get 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts, plus free shipping. Again, 16 free meals, 3 surprise gifts with the code BrainFood16 at HelloFresh.com. And now today's video.
There's no one
In
there.
the cantina scene of 1977's Star Wars, smuggler Han Solo famously boasts that his ship, the Millennium Falcon, did the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. In the decade since the film's release, fans and detractors alike have pointed out that Han's boast is nonsensical, as a parsec is a unit of distance, not time. Writer-director George Lucas has claimed that his gaffe was intentional, meant to indicate that, quote, Han was something of a bull artist who didn't always know precisely what he was talking about. Conversely, the 2018 film Solo, A Star Wars Story, retcons the line by showing Han taking a shorter but more dangerous route through hyperspace. But pedantic nitpicks of a 45-year-old space opera aside, what exactly is a parsec, and how do astronomers go about measuring the vast distances separating stars, galaxies, and other objects in the universe? The term parsec, coined by British astronomer Herbert Hall Turner in 1913, is a contraction of parallax second and refers to the stellar parallax method used by astronomers to measure the distance to stars. Parallax is the apparent shift in position of an object as the observer changes their vantage point. The greater the distance, the smaller the parallax shift, in effect easily observable by looking out of the window at a moving vehicle. Closer objects appear to move more quickly, while those on the horizon barely seem to move at all. To determine the distance to a star using parallax, an astronomer must first measure the position of the star while the Earth is on one side of the Sun. The astronomer then waits half a year until the Earth is on the other side of the Sun, then measures the position of the star again. These measurements produce a right triangle, with one side being the distance from the Earth to the Sun, and the base angle being the difference between the two stellar position measurements. Using trigonometry, the remaining side of the triangle can be solved to give the distance to the star. In astronomy, celestial navigation, and other fields where angular measurements tend to be much smaller than a standard degree, scientists divide angles into minutes of arc, or arc minutes, equal to 1/60th of a degree, and seconds of an arc into arc seconds, equal to 1/60th of an arc minute, or 1/3600th of a degree. A parsec is defined as the distance over which an object will experience a parallax shift of 1 arc second, approximately 30.9 trillion kilometers. As the parsec is based on a practical measurement technique, astronomers tend to prefer it to the more popular unit of light year, defined as the distance that light travels through a vacuum in 1 year, or approximately 9.46 trillion kilometers. Like the parsec and the quantum leap, which is actually an extremely short distance, the light year is also widely misunderstood and abused in pop culture, as evidenced by the common claim that a certain product or company is light years ahead of the competition. As you might have noticed, measuring the distance to a celestial object using parallax requires knowing the distance between the Earth and the Sun, the so-called astronomical unit, or AU. But how is this value determined? While in more recent years the positions of the planets in the solar system have been accurately fixed using space probes, radar, and telemetry, in the past measuring the AU involved making careful observations of a rare celestial phenomenon known as the transit of Venus. In 1663, Scottish mathematician James Gregory suggested that the transit of the planets Venus or Mercury along the disk of the Sun could theoretically be used to determine the distance between the Earth and the Sun. His ideas were further refined in 1716 by British astronomer Edmund Halley, after whom the famous comet is named. The basic idea was for astronomers at sites around the globe to measure the time it took for Venus to cross the solar disk. As each observer would observe the Sun from different angles, Venus would appear to transit the disk at different locations and thus take different amounts of time to cross. Comparing the transit time between two observation sites would produce a parallax angle, while distance between those sites would form one side of a right triangle, which, as in the solar parallax method, could easily be solved to yield the distance between the Earth and the Sun. But there was a problem. In 1639, British astronomer Jeremiah Horrocks, building on the work of German astronomer Johannes Kepler, determined that transits of Venus were exceedingly rare events, occurring in pairs 8 years apart every 121.5 and 105.5 years. Predicting that such an event would occur that very same year, Horrocks set up a simple telescope to project an image of the Sun onto a piece of paper and observe the transit of Venus on the 4th of December 1639. His observations, crude as they were, allowed him to estimate the distance between the Earth and the Sun to be about 95.6 million kilometers, around 70% of the currently accepted value. A more accurate figure, however, would require more precise measurements by multiple observers, as in Gregory and Halley's method. Unfortunately, there were no transits during either man's lifetimes, with the next one predicted to occur in 1761 and 1769. Thankfully, by this time, the scientific community was more than ready, and as the date of the next transit approached, dozens of countries dispatched astronomers to hundreds of sites around the globe in one of history's first truly international scientific undertakings. France sent a full 32 observers, and Britain 18, including astronomer and surveyor Charles Mason, who, along with Jeremiah Dixon, would later survey the famous Mason-Dixon line separating the North and Southern United States. The project, however, quickly turned into a debacle as astronomers encountered countless obstacles, including travel delays, bad weather, and hostile locals. On the way to their observation site in Sumatra, Mason and Dixon's ship was attacked by a French frigate, forcing them to divert to South Africa. Their observations, spoiled by cloud cover, proved inconclusive, as did those of fellow Englishman Neville Maskelyne, based on the Atlantic island of St. Helena. But unluckiest of all were the French. Jean Chap spent months travelling across the Siberian wilderness by coach, boat, and sleigh, only for his progress to be halted by swollen rivers. The superstitious locals were quick to blame Chap and his strange astronomical instruments for the unusually heavy spring rains, and he was chased out of Siberia without ever observing the transit. Meanwhile, Guillaume Le Gentil made an equally arduous journey to India, only to arrive late and miss the 1761 transit. Undaunted, Le Gentil spent the next 8 years building a state-of-the-art observatory in Pondicherry in anticipation of the 1769 transit. But in a cruel twist of fate, when the day at last arrived, a cloud slid in front of the sun and remained there for the entire 14 minutes, 7-second duration of the transit. Despondent, Le Gentil packed up and headed home, only to be laid up with dysentery for a year and nearly shipwrecked on the African coast. And when the luckless astronomer finally returned to France after 11 and a half years abroad, he discovered he had officially been declared dead, his wife had remarried, and his relatives had enthusiastically plundered his estate. And there you were, thinking that your life sucked. In the end, none of the expeditions sent to observe the 1761 transit returned any useful date, and it would fall to a then obscure Royal Navy captain named James Cook to obtain the long-sought-after observations. On June the 3rd, 1769, Cook, along with British naturalist Joseph Banks, British astronomer Charles Green, and Swedish naturalist Daniel Solander, observed the transit of Venus from a mountain on the island of Tahiti in the South Pacific. Their data allowed French astronomer Joseph Lalande to calculate the distance between the Earth and the Sun as 150 million kilometers, value later refined to 149.597 million kilometers. Astronomers finally had a yardstick by which to measure the rest of the universe. While powerful, the stellar parallax method requires the measurement of a minuscule change in position that can only be detected by sensitive telescopes. Indeed, for much of human history up to the Renaissance, the lack of observable stellar parallax was commonly used as an argument against a heliocentric or sun-centered universe. It was not until 1838 that German astronomer Friedrich Bessel finally succeeded in using parallax to measure the distance to the star 61 Cygni, which he calculated to be 3.5 parsecs or 33.1 trillion kilometers. The discovery shocked Bessel's fellow astronomers, who had previously believed stars to be much closer. Bessel would go on to calculate the distances to 3,221 stars, greatly expanding our understanding of the visible universe. However, beyond around 100 parsecs, the distorting effects of the Earth's atmosphere make stellar parallax very difficult to measure using ground-based telescopes. Thus, until the development of Earth-orbiting satellites, objects beyond this distance could not be accurately measured using traditional techniques. A different method was needed. One such method, first proposed in the late 18th century by British astronomer William Herschel, is to use the apparent brightness of stars as a yardstick. The brightness of an object decreases with the square of its distance, the so-called inverse square law, meaning that an object 3 times further away will appear 9 times dimmer. Thus, if one knows the actual brightness of an object and its apparent or observable brightness, one can easily calculate the distance. While simple in theory, Herschel's method had 2 major flaws. First, stars vary wildly in their actual brightness, and second, Herschel did not know the actual brightness of any given star. His method should therefore have been useless, as it would be impossible to tell a dim, close object from a bright, distant object. Determined to get started on mapping the cosmos, however, Herschel made the practical, if erroneous, assumption that all stars had approximately the same brightness, and used the brightness of the star Sirius as his standard candle off which to calibrate all his measurements. As the first measurement of stellar parallax would not be made until 16 years after Herschel's death, all of his distances were calculated in Sirius meters, that is, multiples of the distance to Sirius rather than absolute units. Using the brightness method, Herschel and later astronomers were able to build a three-dimensional map of the observable universe and determine that all stars in the sky were concentrated in a flat disc-shaped formation 10,000 light-years across and 1,000 light-years thick. This is what we now know as the Milky Way galaxy. For nearly a century following Herschel's death, astronomers believed that all stars in the universe were contained in the Milky Way, with the space beyond it being completely empty. This view, however, would be challenged in the early 20th century as astronomers began studying mysterious objects known as nebulas. Meaning cloud in Latin, nebulas have been observed since antiquity, but only started being closely studied and catalogued in the 18th century. Appearing as indistinct luminous blobs through telescopes, nebulas were initially believed to be clouds of interstellar gas, hence the name. However, in 1845, William Parsons, the third Earl of Ross, built the largest telescope then in existence and used it to discover that the nebula known as M51 was in fact a spiral cluster of stars and entire.
I can't have to do much more headshot shooting to get my fucking thing on. Ah, god damn it. Of course there's a respawn me. Dog. Get. Yeah, I deserve that. I was looking that way, and then I changed my fucking angle for like a half a second. Almost starting to play her. Yeah, dumb place to stand. First round of the day, makes sense. I'd do something stupid. Yeah.
A galaxy onto itself. While Ross would go on to unmask dozens of so-called nebulas as galaxies, the scientific establishment was hesitant to accept his claims that these objects lay beyond the Milky Way, in an echo of the geocentric orthodoxies of the past, admitting that our home galaxy was but one of many scattered throughout the vastness of space, was seen as making the Earth and its place in the universe even less special. The astronomy community soon found itself divided into two major camps, one arguing that nebulas were separate, distinct galaxies, and the other that they were merely aberrant star clusters contained within the Milky Way. This schism culminated in a famous public debate between American astronomers Harlow Shapley and Heber Curtis. It was held at the National Academy of Sciences in Washington, D.C. on April 26, 1920. While both sides argued their case passionately, without an accurate means of measuring the distance to nebulas, the results of the so-called Great Debate were inconclusive. Thankfully, just such a method had been discovered some 8 years before by a remarkable but unlikely researcher. By the early 20th century, the field of astronomy had been revolutionized by the development of photography. Photographs could now record objectively what had previously been filtered through the astronomer's subjective eye and memory, while long exposures could capture objects previously too faint to be seen with the naked eye. This new method generated copious amounts of photographic plates whose contents had to be measured, analysed and tabulated, a painstaking and often mind-numbing task that was largely delegated to armies of workers, mainly women, known as computers. Among these was Henrietta Swan Leavitt, who in 1903 was hired as a computer at the Harvard College Observatory under astronomer Charles Pickering. While computers were expected simply to crunch numbers and leave research to the real astronomers, in the course of poring over thousands of photographic plates, Leavitt soon noticed a pattern involving an unusual type of star called a Cepheid variable. Named after Delta Cephei, the first such star to be identified, Cepheid variables vary in brightness according to a regular, predictable rhythm. At the time, it was not yet known what caused Cepheid variables to pulsate. In an attempt to find out, Levitt set out to find a correlation between the frequency of these stars and the only other data point available, brightness. Unfortunately, she faced about the same problem as William Herschel had a century before. Without knowing the actual brightness of a Cepheid variable, it was impossible to tell a dim close star from a bright distant star. To get around this, Levitt looked into the Magellanic Clouds, a pair of bright dwarf galaxies visible in the southern hemisphere. As the distances between the stars within the Magellanic Clouds were relatively much smaller than the distance between the clouds and Earth, the properties of any Cepheid variables within the clouds could be more or less directly compared. Over the next 5 years, Levitt identified some 1,770 Cepheid variables in the Magellanic Clouds and plotted their brightness against their frequency. To her astonishment, the data points fit perfectly along a logarithmic curve, indicating a direct physical relationship between frequency and brightness. This meant that if two stars have the same frequency, they also have the same actual brightness, allowing their relative distance from one another to be determined via Herschel's inverse square law method. In other words, Levitt had discovered a standard candle that could be used to measure even the most distant celestial objects. Levitt published her monumental findings in 1912 under the understated title Periods of 25 Variable Stars in the Small Magellanic Cloud. Like Herschel's method, Levitt's discovery could only give the relative distances between Cepheid variables. In 1913, however, Danish astronomer Einar Hertzsprung used stellar parallax to measure the absolute distance to several nearby Cepheid variables, providing a baseline for all of Levitt's observations. 10 years later, American astronomer Edwin Hubble identified a Cepheid variable in the Andromeda Nebula, and using Levitt's method, determined it to be a staggering 2.5 million light-years, or 770,000 parsecs away. This discovery put an end to the Great Debate, proving that once and for all nebulas like Andromeda are in fact distant, independent.
Churches. It's Quran verse. The Quran insults the Christians and Jews because it says,
Nadir, we're thrilled to have you back. Glad you're here. What can people expect to find at your link?
Well, you can probably get updates on the latest debates, which I'm having. I debate several different topics like Quran and modern science, some refutations to some people.
I see, despite all the updates, the back-end servers are still dog shit.
So you could probably come to my YouTube page and subscribe to get updated on the latest debates.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Nadir. And with that, folks,
same here, but like, when I'm trying to move anything about running, it's still super delayed. It's fucking stupid.
On the format, and then we'll go right into it. So, format is simple. We're going to have 10 minutes from each side in terms of their openings, starting with AP. Then we're going to have, for 50 to 60 minutes, we'll kind of play it by ear, see how the conversation goes, where it'll be in 2-minute intervals. So, just to kind of keep it, where we are making sure that everybody gets equal time, that's important to us. And then we'll go into about 30 minutes of Q&A. So if you happen to have a question, feel free to fire it into the old live chat. If you tag me with @ModernDayDebate, it makes it easier for me to get every question in the list for that Q&A. So thrilled to have you here, folks, and thrilled to have our guests. So I have got the timer set on my side. And so, AP, when you are ready, the floor is all yours.
Awesome. I'm going to share my screen quickly. We just figured that out that I can actually do it while having myself on the screen instead. But I hope it works. Okay, I'm starting. So first off, thanks to James and Modern Day Debate for hosting this important debate, and thanks to Nader Ahmed for participating in this. Let me know if this looks okay and sounds okay. Okay, wonderful. So again, thanks to James and thanks to Nader Ahmed for agreeing for this crucial debate. It is kind of unfortunate, I think, that so many Muslim voices and apologists and scholars, among all of them,
it's not that time, dog. You can start me all you want. It's not dinner time yet.
To come and have this debate in public. Although the debate is a question about a question that is so extremely crucial. Is the Quran dangerous? This is a question that is on everyone's mind. If you make a simple Google search, stay with me, for the most dangerous religion, you will see that Islam is here everywhere. you will find Islam immediately. That is not because Google tells us the truth about which one is the most dangerous religion. This is because this is on everyone's mind. This is the public perception about Islam. Isn't it interesting that we constantly talk about, when we talk about Islam, we constantly talk about how violent and hateful and intolerant and morally questionable it is? I mean, which other religion is constantly talked about as this violent, intolerant religion, this religion that we are supposed to be scared of, this religion that spreads so much terror in the world? The reason that Muslim apologists are not widely engaged in debates on this topic
Get away from
is
under my
not
desk.
that they are not interested in the topic. No, on the contrary. Muslim apologists, scholars, voices everywhere constantly spend so many resources, so much of their time defending Islam, fighting Islamophobia, trying to explain that Islam is not dangerous and that we have all somehow misunderstood Islam. But they refuse to honestly talk to us to get to the bottom of this problem. And I hope that we can address this problem today.
Try this again, and this time not stand in a stupid place where I get immediately head tapped. Did not expect a scout to be just down there like that. Yeah, that's shooting over there. Yep. Okay. That's potentially a fight I can loop in behind. That's in USEC now. meds with me, so I had more. Definitely got fighting somewhere by you, sick anyway. That's a checkpoint. Or at least someone's a checkpoint. I just seen you run out, buddy. Question becomes, is it a scav I seen run out or a player? Okay, still feel kicking shit out to that fucking USAC. Jeez, it must have been a scav I seen run out. Where the fuck is this guy? Hunting you for fucking ages. Let's best go knob that real quick before the rest of the fucking party shows up to fuck me. Why the hell do you think he's getting shot from thing though? Body shots must have been. Not enough. Okay, I might have some people come this way yet. They definitely are more fighting down there. Psycho sniper out the way though, so that's one task. Fucking devils. How long has he gotten this? Please tell me it's not all fucking... Jesus Christ, people. What exactly do you think you're fighting in this game? PPM was terrible. Like any bullet, you play enough of that into someone, they're gonna die, but holy god. There was fight in there, and no one's come out. That's disconcerting. The range, you see. The damage drop off. No, AP just doesn't have the same hit power it used to. Which makes sense, but it's way too low. So god. Jesus Christ, SMB is an honor level headshot 300 meters now. SMB, an actual fucking sniper round. Fuck, give me some loot. Okay, someone was here. Fair enough. Not really surprising given it spawns. Frame rate, stop it. Haunt of Rose. Oh. That's there. Didn't move like a scav. Yeah, it's there. I'm 100% there. It's definitely a fucking player. This ain't going crazy. Maybe it was that guy. It seemed like it was that guy, but... Must have been. Fuck yeah. Nah, do you know what, that's probably someone just celebrating. Yeah, because that sounds like military CP. Probably if they're hitting all that shit, that's probably it as well. He's in this fucking building with me. Was I very fucked off? Gonna strush. Not that time yet though. Getting there though. God damn it. God damn it. Ah, I should just kept the fucking aim on there. Oh well. Oh well. Some lose some. I should fuck him up. Fucked him up good though.